Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this food that you provided for us and for those who have prepared it. We pray you'll bless them, and we pray that you'll bless this food to our bodies. Lord, we thank you, too, for those who are serving to protect our freedoms here in this country. We pray that you'll be with them and keep them safe. And Lord, we pray, too, for our leaders, that you will watch over each one of them, give them wisdom and strength. We thank you for them in Christ's name. Amen.
And now, these are Rotarians. And yes, in case y'all coming up.
We want to say a special welcome to visiting Rotarian Alex Martin from the Lexington Rotary Club. Alex, would you stand, please? And our speaker, Congressman Joe Wilson, is also a Rotarian with the Casey West Columbia Club. We have numerous guests today, and what we're going to ask you to do is just Rotarians and your guests stand and let us welcome all of you at one time. Thank you, and it is the rule here at Columbia Rotary that if you visit on a rainy day, you're required to come back in the next 6 weeks. So we hope to see you soon.
That rule. Thank you very much. Okay, health and happiness, Russ Bell.
Thank you. Okay, a few notes. Received word that Lynn Kenyon's father is having a surgical procedure this morning at Prisma Heart, and just keep her and her family in your thoughts and prayers, please. A couple other announcements. Dr. Cannon gave me, just last week, John talked to us about Good RX. I know you can't see that quite up here. I surely couldn't if I were where you are. And so at the main table, he has supplied some cards with more information and contact information for you. Piece of great news, our very own Catherine Kennedy has been selected as the 2020 recipient of the Platinum Complete Lawyer Award given by the University of South Carolina School of Law Alumni Council. And there are 3 experience categories that they looked at, and professional competence, ethics, integrity, and who has demonstrated superior performance in their professional career, and we could all attest to that. Congratulations, Catherine. Okay, the message today from the CART Committee, this was, have you ever wondered what it's like to have Alzheimer's? Here's a portion of a Facebook post by someone who is living with the disease. Today is difficult, as it's very hard to stay focused on anything for more than a second. My mind doesn't just drift, it goes completely blank. I'm struggling to hold a thought. When I try to focus, I become extremely agitated, even though throughout my life, my loved ones would consider me to be a kind and patient person. When I am agitated, every sound and visual stimulus rattles me to where I want to scream and hide away from everything and everyone. Right now, I hear my husband watching TV, the washing machine is going, and tinnitus screaming in my ears as though someone is crazily shaking me. It's all so loud, it's as if I'm under attack. My chest tightens and my body and mind are stressed. The stress makes my head hurt. My extremities feel like pins pricking and cramping, and it gets really cold, then hot, then freezing cold for a while. And that's just a glimpse of what an Alzheimer's patient experiences. And Fran, thank you for getting that to me. In the interest of time, I just have one piece of humor for you. A wife says to her husband, "You haven't heard a word I've said." He replied, "Honey, that's an unusual way to start a conversation." I let that one soak in just a wee bit, and so I think, guys, that's a message for each one of us, myself included. We just need to listen a little bit more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Russ. Just a reminder, next week, as you know, there will be no meeting in observance of Martin Luther King Day. We encourage you to do something nice for others on your own. But remember that this Monday, today, and the 27th, we will still be doing a book collection for our schools and retirement homes and nursing homes. So bring your books and let's do something really nice for others in the name of Martin Luther King. As he said, the time is always right to do what is right. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? What a great man and what a great inspiration for all of us. So do something nice. Mason, you want to talk about today's Discover Rotary? With this microphone.
I'm Mason Hardy. I'm the president-elect of the Rotary Club. This morning at 11:45, actually, we started. We had our first Discover Rotary meeting to learn more about what Rotary International is and does for the world. And then we also talked about our club here locally and what all we do here in the local community. We had a good turnout. We had to work out a couple of kinks. But we'll be doing that on the first Monday of every month going forward. So the next meeting for Discover Rotary will be at 11:30 on Monday, February 3rd. For those of you that are here as guests, you're welcome to come and learn more about the club on Monday, February 3rd at 11:30 if you want to. We also have informational pieces at the sign-in about how to join Rotary and what it's like to be a member, including the dues structure and everything. If you have any questions, you're certainly welcome to come up to me. Glenn Matthews is our membership director. Glenn, will you wave your hand? He's actually the main person to talk to about this. But we'd love to hear about y'all's interest in our club. It is membership by invitation only. We are the Columbia Rotary Club, the largest, and we get congressmen to come speak to us. So it's a great club. We do great work. It's a lot of fun with our Bocce Bash coming up in May. And then also doing the Salvation Army bell ringing is always a lot of fun too. We do lots of great work here locally and also throughout the world. If you have any questions about joining the Rotary Club, please let me or Glenn know. Thank you so much.
Okay, now for the foundation information, John Denise.
Thank you, President Louisa. And Congressman Wilson, thank you for being here. And I love the fact that you're concerned about getting makeup in and that you're signing up and getting your makeup. When you grow up and you get old like me and become senior active, then you don't have to worry about makeups. So it's great. We were up here quite a bit leading up to the end of the year to talk about the foundation, and President Louisa asked me to talk about the matching points that we had. The district, our district had a matching points campaign, and I'm happy to say that I think about a dozen Rotarians took advantage of those matching points and made their contributions prior to the end of the year, and we're taking the next step to the next level of Paul Harris Fellow, whether that's our first one or in some cases 10th one. So thank you all very much for participating in that. I wanted to do one quick recognition. So, well, first of all, so the points have been exhausted for the district, but if you're really looking to take the next step in your Paul Harris steps, please see me or somebody else on the committee. We've got the report. We can tell you how much you have to contribute to get to your next level of Paul Harris Fellow. And also, if you're already a Paul Harris Fellow, and a lot of people don't know this, you have points that you've accumulated through your own contributions. So you might have enough points to either help a fellow Rotarian get to the next level, or recognize a family member, a friend, just someone that you look up to that you want them to get the benefits of being involved with Rotary. So please ask about that, and we'd be happy to do that. And I want to make one presentation, but before I do it, I probably should have told Russ with the Health and Happiness, but I got a call this morning. Fellow Rotarian Nikki Hutchison, who a lot of you know, she hasn't been in Rotary for that long, but she's been super active in this community for a really long time. Her sister Darcy Brannigan had a massive stroke sometime over the weekend, and they found her yesterday, and she's currently at Lexington Hospital. So please keep Nikki and her sister and their family in your thoughts and prayers. So we do have some Paul Harris Fellow recognitions to give out in an interest of time, because we have a great speaker who probably has a lot to talk about, because there's one or two things happening in DC. I wanted to just do one presentation today to a very special Rotarian who's been a great member of this club for a long time, is very dedicated, and has taken the next step and gotten to Paul Harris Fellow +5. So it's this beautiful pin with 5 sapphires arranged very nicely. It's just a gorgeous thing. And I want to recognize President Louisa Campbell. She didn't know we were doing that today.
What a nice surprise. I do love this club, as you can tell. So thank you to all of you. And now, Blake Buchanan, you want to talk about the Bob's Bash coming up.
Thank you, President Wilson. I appreciate that. Congratulations. Same thing everybody said, interest of time. I was going to put these flyers on the table, but I didn't want to take away from the other important information that's on there. We can get to this later. The Bocce Bash is on May 2nd. I know you've seen the date. It's on the slideshow every week. So May 2nd. We updated our flyer. I have a ton of copies of this flyer here. And it has a sign-up sheet on here, so you can sign up and return it to me anytime. It also has a website link on here, which you can go to that website and go to our website. Cynthia has graciously put it on there. It's easy to sign up. We already have a couple of sponsors and teams. Glenn Matthews has already signed up his team for this coming year, and one or two others have as well. So all the information's right here. How to sign up as an individual, how to sign up as a team, and how to sign up as a core sponsor. I also have additional flyers that list our other levels of sponsorship. So we are actively out. We've sent this out. You've probably got the emails. All of our returning, or I should say all of the folks that played last year, we've already sent information to them, and that's how they're signed up. So May 2nd, we'll talk about it more as we get closer and closer. But I've got plenty of these flyers. If you want to see me today, just grab them. I'll be around for a little bit. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Blake. May 2nd. What an exciting time. And speaking of another fundraiser, friend-raiser, on February 10th, that evening, we will not have a meeting that day, but we'll have a social at Hotel Trundle. And it's a wine tasting. So, Andrew Clarkson and Margaret, come tell us about it.
So I'm going to let Margaret, our social chair, do the heavy lifting on this, but I'm going to go ahead and set up a little flight of wine for the head table.
Okay, don't feel like you're being double teamed by us in any perspective. But I will share, there are a lot of new people here, and I would love to be able to tell you that we have wine at all of our Monday events, but it is a complete lie, so, which is just a little bit of a tease. But there are a couple of things, it's so fun to see all these new people in this room, because one of the things about Rotary that is so dear, we are passionate about our mission, which is, of course, service above self. But we also have an awful lot of fun, and so February 10th, is one of the times that we're going to have a lot of fun, and that is in lieu of a meeting, as Louisa has already said. And it's going to be a wine tasting, tasting by, it's gonna be organized by Rocky Minge, but we need to really do a shout out thanks to Rita Patel, because she is our host and she is the owner of Hotel Trundle, and she's also a member of our club. So it's a really special way for us to be able to do a member spotlight for one of our members. So a couple of things. Rocky Minge is going to do the wine tasting, and I understand that he is just absolutely amazing. We also wanted a little shout out to Jesse Bullard, because he not only catered the event at the Governor's Mansion, the Lace House event, but he also was actually helping us with the food and the cheese trays and all the extra bits that we're going to have on that day. So once again, that's February 10th. That is at Hotel Trundle. There's valet parking. The timing is 6 to 8. And on your tables, you'll see a document that has all these little slots, and the first table that fills up those slots gets a bottle of wine. How about that? So hurry up and sign up, because it's first come, first served. We can only have 80, and it's really important that we have a head count, because there are people who are associated with the fire marshal in this building, and I don't want to get in trouble. So,
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna have these folks, our esteemed panelists, sort of give us a little rendering of their thoughts on this wine. This is a Blanco Trevenese, I think. It's from the Valpolicella region of Italy. And Russ, what do you think?
Well, if I can pronounce it, that would be one thing, but when I found out I was going to do health and happiness about 2 hours ago, I asked for the benefits, and they said, you're going to get to taste some fantastic.
Well, I didn't know anything about this until Andrew sprung it on me, and he said that we should talk about a memory, and this one memory reminded me of a great time down at the Heritage on this gorgeous yacht, and we were there sipping this wine, and it was a little bit different wine. It was a nice red cab, and the guy said, he said, I really appreciate you, because I appreciate you bringing this fine wine and these lovely friends of yours, but how did you get on my boat?
I don't have anything that funny, but this reminds me of a summer day. And boy, do we need a little sunshine today. So,
Hunter? I would say the fruity notes and the sweet taste, it's definitely a white wine.
First of all, I'm grateful to be here with the extended Clarkson family. And then, indeed, I join with my colleague to the right. It is white wine. But also, I would recommend this to my colleagues. I think it would clear their minds.
So just as a quick reminder, there are 80 places available, so that's 40 couples or 80 folks total. Sort of first come, first served. If there's a huge demand, then we may be able to duplicate this event later on, but for this particular shot, there is a little sense of urgency.
I think that's it. Tickets are $25. It's a member spotlight on our main member, Rita Patel, Hotel Trundle. As Colombians, often we don't actually visit our own hotels and see the facilities where people can come visit our town. So this is a great way to understand what we have as a city to offer. And don't forget, there could be a winner out there who's filled out their blanks. Oh, don't have pens? Okay, we can help with that too. All right, thanks.
thank you, that was such fun, and I cannot wait for February 10th. Just a quick reminder, the scholarship committee is going to meet right after this meeting. So if you're here, please join us, probably at one of the tables back of the room. And now, we're honored to have our speaker today, but we're also honored to have his son introduce him. First things first, Hunter Wilson.
Thanks so much. I'll keep this brief. Don't give me the opportunity to introduce Congressman Wilson, or better known as Dad. And I don't want to stand in between his talk of record stock market, record unemployment, impeachment, or World War III. So I get asked a lot, what is it like to have a father who's a politician? And the answer is, I don't know anything else. He was born, he was elected in '86 and I was born in '87. So I don't know, there's nothing to compare it to, but there's one of the lessons he did teach me in life was to find someone smarter, faster, and better looking than you. And Carol Jr. and Edward Livingston could say that that's another very difficult task. But I'd like to introduce my fiancée, Julia Jett. She's going to be emergency medicine doctor in May, so better, faster, and better looking check. So without further ado, Congressman Wilson.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lisa. But fellow Rotarians, it's just so humbling and inspiring to be here with you. And President Louisa, thank you for arranging a very special person in my life, number 4 son. Only Jimmy Derrick could remember this far back and Milton Moore about Charlie Chan. But I number our sons, and I'm really grateful that number 4 son is a member of Columbia Rotary. That is so meaningful to me. And then I was going to let y'all know what a wonderful surprise too. His fiancée, Julian Jett, Dr. Jett, soon Dr. Wilson. In emergency medicine, we need that. That's good. And I'm really proud of his service and for him to be a member here because we are a Rotary family, but actually we're a Rotary office too. And I've always enjoyed coming to Columbia Rotary Club, one of the largest civic clubs, maybe the largest in South Carolina, because it's inspiring, it's humbling to be here with you, people who do put service above self, people who live by the 4-way test. And in fact, when I served in the state senate for 17 years, I had to make up on Monday because when we're in session because the Casey Club meets on Tuesday. And so Earl Brown for 17 years would save me a seat. And so, and from that, he was a young early retiree from the Department of Human Affairs and then came on as our Deputy District Director. So it truly is an indication of our being a Rotary office, and indeed our District Director, Butch Wallace, who's here. Butch was assistant to the District Governor and past President of Rotary himself. And then we have a Butch Wallace lookalike contest winner, Alex Morris. And Alex is from the you're going to catch a pattern here from the Lexington Rotary. And then I'm really grateful that Martha Ruthman, who's our director for Orangeburg, Aiken, and Barnwell, is a member of the Aiken Rotary. So Rotary is just very, very important. And then family. I was hoping that number 3 son would be here, Julian. He is a member of the 5 Points Rotary. And then number 1 son, Alan, has been his own lead from the Lexington Rotary, as he has quite extensive duties as Attorney General. And and all of these sons have done so well. And number 2 son, don't want to leave out, but he's a doctor in the Navy, and he's currently at Beaufort, but he was in Naples, Italy, and now at Beaufort we have 3 grandchildren who speak perfect Italian. So if you need any Italian training, if you need the benefit of military service, and so I'm confident that at some time in the future when number 2 son Addison completes his military service, that he too will be a member of Rotary and join their mother. She is the key to all of this. For a politician to raise children, it takes a very devoted wife, mother, and Roxanne qualifies, and she is a Paul Harris Fellow. So, over and over again, Rotary has been so important. And then I'm really grateful too, every year in Washington, I may be the only member of Congress who every year is at Rotary Night. And it's at the Mansfield Room on the Senate side. And so it's a rare occasion that the House of Lords would let a House member come over. But I use that as an opportunity to see Ann Matthews. I'm so proud of her as the former district and international vice president of Rotary. Columbia can look with pride. Ann is known universally as such a great Rotarian. And then one final story, John, when you mentioned about making up. As a newlywed on our honeymoon, I was a rather new member of Rotary, so certainly I wanted to keep up my attendance. And so Roxanne would let you know I abandoned her at a 6-star resort
and St. Vincent to make up at the Rotary Club of St. Vincent. But the way she describes it, Louisa, was not very nice, all right? Well, the only person not surprised was Crawford Clarkson. He said you did right. So thank you, Margaret. But no, the bottom line, again, I'm just grateful to be here, and Rotary means so much to me, and when I think of Rotary, it's very serious, and that is Polio Plus, the most successful public health program in the history of the world. And then I'm really thrilled because of the sad circumstances I've seen from South Sudan to Guatemala to Syria, the identification of how important it is to have potable water. What a great program to establish. And so Rotary, locally but around the world, makes such a difference. And then I'm particularly grateful to be here today because each year I do a drive around the district where I reveal and go over my agenda for the coming year. Since we're in the second year of the session, it's somewhat of a continuation of what I've been doing, and then I'm just so grateful that last year was much more successful than it appeared. A friend of mine is Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee from Houston, and she and I are the co-chairs of the Afghan caucus, and she points out that good news has no feet and bad news has wings. And so what I may be telling you could be dull, but it's important for the people of our community and our country. First of all, creating jobs. A lot of people don't realize, but I truly believe that an extraordinary role that I have as a member of Congress is to do all I can to help create an environment for jobs, for opportunities, particularly for the young people of our communities. And so I've been all my life active working with local chambers. I'm glad to see Carrie here, Mayor Walker. I'm just grateful that with the Irmo Chamber, I was one of the founders of the Irmo Chamber. And so success there. And then I was with Carl Blackstone yesterday at church, and he gets to tell me where to go at church. Can you imagine? But I was really grateful the Columbia Chamber is so significant, and I work with all the chambers from Blythewood to North Augusta, Tara Wilson to Barnwell. And then this week, I'll be at the Aiken Chamber with David Jameson, their 102nd annual dinner. And so the chambers are very, very important for me with local businesses. It's great to work with the big business, but I'm very happy to do all I can for local and small businesses. This past year was a remarkable, something I really appreciate is that I am the lead sponsor on legislation for a national right to work law. We know the benefit here in South Carolina. In Lexington County, it's called Michelin. And now that's the largest Michelin investment in the world. And because of the success of Michelin and then Bridgestone, we know Michelin is French, Bridgestone is Japanese, we have Continental Tire, German. South Carolina, because of right to work, is the leading manufacturer of tires and export of tires of any state in the union. And then I'm really pleased too, we understand BMW. The success of that, Carol Campbell, with Michelin, with Jim Edwards. I was grateful to be working very closely with both of them, but BMW, now that's the largest BMW investment in the world. 2 years ago, they exported $10.4 billion worth of product out of Charleston. And South Carolina now is the largest exporter of cars of any American state. And now we have Volvo. I hope you get a chance to tour. I've been down there to see that facility and the jobs created in a somewhat rural area west of Charleston. And it's just so exciting to see that. But the ultimate with BMW is, as the American automobile industry a couple of years ago was in virtual bankruptcy, BMW was added because they were not burdened by union regulations or different union persuasions. And so the good news is BMW has done quite well. And finally, of course, with the leadership of Governor Nikki Haley and Lindsey Graham, Tim Scott, and Attorney General Alan Wilson, we come to Boeing. And that is that we know the NLRB unilaterally came in and announced that Boeing could not produce 787 jetliners. The building was already built. I was down there when it was bought Alenia. And so a 1 million square foot building, 1,000 employees, and the unions, the International Association of Machinists said, you can't build planes there. But hey, we fought back. And I'm really grateful. Now there are 10,000 people who work at the Boeing facility. And then putting that in perspective, the cable for the Boeing aircraft were made by Pirelli in Lexington, and then the tubing is by Zeus of Aiken in Orangeburg, and the interiors by AGY of Aiken. So it's a direct impact on the people that I represent. I want to continue to work for future missions at the Savannah River site. I'm the only member of Congress who's actually worked there. In the past, I was really pleased this year we were able to provide for a two-site solution for the development of plutonium pits and reprocessing. And that was quite controversial, except that it creates jobs in our community, and then it enhances our ability to protect the American people. Also, it's been really exciting working with Chancellor Sandra Jordan of USC Aiken. We were able to get the initial funding for the Advanced Manufacturing Collaborative. And this will be a research facility at USC Aiken, and will have phenomenal impact on South Carolina. And it's just been fun working with her. Repealing Obamacare, we've seen the consequence, the premiums, the co-pays, the lack of people losing hours in their employment. And so I believe it needs to be repealed. This can be bipartisan, amazingly enough. Last month, we actually passed the elimination of 3 different Obamacare taxes, bipartisan, people of both parties, and skipping to something so important, conservative alternatives. Our country really is at risk with a $22 trillion deficit in debt. We're passing on a debt to our children and grandchildren that needs to be addressed. That's why I've always supported, as my predecessor, late Congressman Floyd Spence, the first bill he supported was to provide for a balanced budget amendment. And I will continue to work for that. And also, every time there's a budget to be considered, I work to vote for the most conservative budget to truly protect the young people of our country. Then we get to implementing the tax cuts. What an extraordinary achievement that has been achieved with creation of jobs. Nearly 7 million jobs have been created. We have the lowest level of unemployment in a generation, nearly 50 years, the lowest level of unemployment ever for the African American community, the Asian American community, the Hispanic community. It's so exciting when I do a bus tour around the district, when I travel around the district, to see the number of signs now hiring. And many of these obviously are entry-level jobs. A great opportunity for people to have jobs. And it's just been a real thrill to see the success of the tax cuts. And that, much of it too, was related to cutting back on regulations. And the President has fulfilled promises made, promises kept. He was counting on reducing 2 regulations for every one added. I think it's worked out to substantially more than 2 have been eliminated, which again creates opportunities for jobs. On foreign affairs, I'm grateful to be the ranking member of the Middle East, North Africa, and International Terrorism Subcommittee. Again, lightning's going to strike. I work very closely with Congressman Ted Deutsch of the subcommittee, and Congressman Elliot Engel and I are good friends. We're the only 2 members of Congress who actually were on a delegation to Pyongyang. And so you become really good friends when you're in Pyongyang, because there are not many friends there. So over and over, I've had the opportunity to work with people of the other party. It just, so many things are so important, such as strengthening our alliances, working together, trade, promoting job and foreign direct investment, and promoting country caucuses. And last week was a classic for me. On Wednesday, I was with the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of Korea, Young-il Kim. And to be there with the Deputy Speaker, the first thing I did, of course, was thank him for the Samsung investment in prosperity. How exciting that is, that 1,000 jobs created by Korean investments. And I told him how important the Korean American community is here in South Carolina, how every year I'm very grateful that Pastor Kim allows me to speak at the festival. And the Korean American community is so vital, and this supports them. We get to defense. We've discussed how much they appreciate President Trump making every kind of effort possible to try to denuclearize the peninsula. And so it was a really meaningful experience to be with him. And then the next morning I was with Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab of the UK. I'm the co-chair of the UK caucus. I grew up in the most British city in North America, the holy city of Charleston. And so we had a great conversation about Brexit. and how important our national alliances are, and how we need to and will, with the election of Boris Johnson as Prime Minister, we will be able to have a trade agreement almost the moment that Brexit is completed. And they voted on that very day, Thursday, Parliament committed another vote to complete Brexit. So it was just so humbling again for me to be with, and he has been indicated as a rising star in British Parliament and British government, and could be a Prime Minister in the future. So remember that name, Dominic Raab, R-A-A-B. And then I concluded by having another breakfast with Ambassador Harsh Shringla of India. And I'm really grateful I've gotten to work with Ambassador Shringla. He's been named the new Foreign Secretary of India, and with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And this year has been remarkable for me that I could host a breakfast, a going away breakfast for Ambassador Shringla. This year has been remarkable for me because I actually, in August, was at the Red Fort in New Delhi for Prime Minister Modi's Independence Day speech, August 15th. And it would warm the hearts of many people here as the Prime Minister explained how important it was to have wealth creators. This is a country that for the first 40 years had a socialist system. And they noticed the success of the Indian American community. And so about 30 years ago, they shifted to a thing called free market capitalism. And the success has been there now 400 million middle-class Indians. And this is middle class at the American level, not third world. And it's just, that's more people than live in the United States. And so it's exciting to me to have been there, to be with the future Foreign Secretary. And each time we meet, I also point out how much we appreciate that India now has joint service training with the United States. They're shifting away from another country called Russia, and they are increasingly working toward interoperability. And the President has recognized how important India is. Pacific Command PACOM is no longer PACOM. It's now Indo-PACOM. And the people of India understand, and they appreciate it. And the people of Korea were very appreciative too, because that means they're not in the forward line, they're in the middle of American defense efforts. And so, and there's another country that understands it too. It's called the People's Republic of China. And it's truly peace through strength. Additionally, I'm really grateful that I'm serving as the ranking member of the Commission on Security and Cooperation in Europe. I get to work very closely with Chairman Elsie Hastings, and there are 57 countries as part of this, and to have the opportunity to be there with delegations, including the Russian Federation. And so it's an interesting organization to work toward cooperation in any way that we can. And that's why I'm so proud, jumping ahead to President's initiatives of peace through strength. I was present when the President signed the National Defense Authorization Act December the 20th at Andrews Air Force Base. This truly indicates our country is rebuilding its military. It's a message to our enemies around the world, to our friends around the world, that we will be standing with them. And then, as part of the peace through strength, I was really grateful for legislation that I had been working on for 18 years. The elimination of the widow's tax. This was a tax where Gold Star families could not receive DOD and VA benefits simultaneously. One was subtracted from the other. The consequence is that it affects 65,000 families. The consequence is around $12,000 per family. But I'm really grateful, and I give all credit to the Gold Star wives. Dear lady to me is Edie Smith, Maggie McLeod, whose late husband was a military fellow in my office, Colonel Train McLeod. So I could identify how much this means. And working with the veteran service organizations, with the Gold Star wives, we achieved 383 co-sponsors. That was the most number of co-sponsors, 88% of members of the House, of any bill pending in Congress this year. And it's really a tribute to, again, the Gold Star wives and the veteran service organizations. But the President signed it into law on December the 20th. And so I'm just really thrilled what this is going to mean to so many families. And then also very important to the military and to retirees Guard members is TRICARE benefits. And I'm really grateful that having been past chairman of the Personnel Subcommittee of the Armed Services Committee, it was brought to our attention that the health care costs of the military are eating the budget alive. And I thought that was correct. Well, it wasn't. I'm really grateful that the Military Officers of America, MOA, came to me and brought the information that was actually correct, and that is that healthcare costs have been going down, that we didn't need to increase TRICARE fees. And so we were able to block the fees. And then the next month, the Pentagon came back and said, hey, by the way, we need to reprogram the extra money in the healthcare account. I said, well, hey, you told us that it was eating it up alive. How did you have extra? But anyway, without being too upset about what they do, you just do the best you can. So I'm really grateful, and I really look forward to working with Secretary of Defense Mark Esper. I had the opportunity to host him here this spring as the Secretary of the Army. And we have a shared appreciation of Lexington, Virginia. He's a BMI graduate, a WL graduate, and I actually like BMEs. And so I'm really grateful that we will have a good association, and what a great Secretary of Defense he's going to be. And I'm just, as we toured Fort Jackson, there was one thing he did that I did not do. He was repelling. Can you imagine? He's a tough guy and will be a wonderful Secretary of Defense. And then for our veterans, I'm really grateful for the leadership of Senator Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott. With the veterans, they were able to work together with former Chairman Jeff Miller of the Veterans Affairs Committee, visiting here at the Dorn VA Hospital and the Charlie Norwood Hospital at Augusta. I'm really grateful that we've had reforms to provide alternatives for the veterans, particularly if they live 40 miles away, to achieve the care that should have. And I will continue to support the reforms of the VA system, working with Dr. Phil Rowe, a member of Congress from Tennessee, who's the ranking member. So over and over again, I've had remarkable opportunities to serve you, and I'm just very, very humbled and grateful to do that. And then I want to extend again an invitation. Please come by your office, 1436 Longworth House Office Building. And you don't have to call. If you do, that's good. But just come by, and we have a window that overlooks the U.S. Capitol building. When you come by, the dome of the Capitol will be on your shoulder. But also while you're standing there, you're going to look out and see my Rotary banner from Columbia from a prior engagement. You'll see the four-way test in different languages all around the office from the opportunities that I've had to visit with Rotary clubs around the world. And what a difference you make, and I'm just, again, humbled to be here. Be happy to answer any questions. Yes?
Seniority has been so important to our state in terms of committee appointments and chairs. The other side of that coin, term limits. How would that adjustment change the way people are assigned?
Well, I've been for term limits if it applies to everyone. And, but I can also see a negative in that by serving, you learn things that only come through experience. And then, no disrespect to the professional staff, but then they would be running it. In fact, I appreciate the professional congressional staff, professional staff in the Senate, but the only consistency would be the staff. And so I have mixed feelings unless it applied to everyone. Yes, Milton?
What the staff does is you have what's called the deep state, and that's the problem.
And that's a real problem. And the deep state, and we've seen that sadly with the FBI. We've seen it with the IRS, seen it with CIA, where people are conducting operations that they may feel are correct, but it's against the wishes of the voters and a democratic system. Yes.
Joe, I know you can't tell us everything for security reasons, but give us your insights that you can about Iran.
Peace through strength. I'm so grateful for the President taking the decisive action to eliminate Soleimani. I was grateful that he took out al-Baghdadi, and despite the fact that New York Times identified him, or maybe it was the Washington Post, as a revered cleric. No, these are terrorists, and in particular, Soleimani was identified as a terrorist by the Obama administration correctly, and he is directly responsible for over 600 American deaths, and they don't put in, but maybe 60,000 persons who are permanently injured, losing arms and legs. And he very likely directed the Benghazi attack, and he very likely directed the attack on our embassy 2 weeks ago. The similarity of the attacks indicate that there was a plan, a pattern. This is not, the New York Times identified the terrorists who attacked our embassy as mourners. They were mourning the death of their fellow terrorists who had killed an American contractor, Nawad Hamid, and an Iraqi American who was killed. And the president responded. But it's peace through strength, and then I really appreciate, and the president's made this very clear, and I know I have too, anytime we've had a hearing in regard to Iran, that the people of Iran, these are people of the heritage of Persia. These are very educated people. They, unlike Iraq, which was a closed society without cell phones or satellite dish capability, Iran is wide open. And so I think a mistake was made 10 years ago. There was the Green Revolution. I've never gotten over it. The young CPA who bled to death, she bled to death right there in the street. And I think it's really sad that we didn't make clearer our support of the young people and the people of Iran. But gosh, this president has, in English and Farsi. I'm very impressed with his Farsi. And so but we need to encourage the people of Iran, because as we're thinking about Iran, consider Hezbollah, thousands of rockets directed at Israel. Think of from Lebanon. Think of Hamas, thousands of rockets, maybe 100,000 rockets in Gaza directed at Israel, all provided by Iran. And so if we can have regime change, I'll say it, in Iran, this would be beneficial. And they also provide the weaponry and also the drone capability to the Houthis in Yemen. And they also provide backup to the Maduro regime in Caracas. Wherever there's a totalitarian effort, an authoritarian effort, there is Iran providing IEDs in Iraq and Afghanistan. And so over and I take it personally. Alan actually came under attack in Baghdad and in Mosul, and then Hunter serving for a year in Afghanistan. And of course, it was on Roxanne and our mind the whole time that there could be an IED, roadside bomb. And then it's not reported, but think of the number of children who the roadside bombs weren't just directed and couldn't be directed just at American personnel, but think of the civilians who, just walking along the street, were blown to bits and not covered. And that technology was developed by Soleimani. So I'm just delighted of peace through strength. We see how it works, and I'm just so grateful that what President Reagan did, what Pope John Paul II, Margaret Thatcher, of winning the Cold War, victory over communism by peace through strength. The same applies to the global war on terrorism. Yes.
I wonder how the Russians continue to bomb civilian facilities, hospitals in Syria with impunity. I don't understand. They just keep right on going.
And the question is about the Russians bombing with hospitals, mosques, bomb anything. But I do know one thing, and it's said that, but there's nobody around to explain what happened. But I do know one thing, we have a president who it's misconstrued of his relationship with Mr. Putin. If he did have a relationship, it was eliminated by President Trump providing Javelin missiles to the Ukrainians. The prior administration provided MREs and blankets, and President Trump has provided Javelin missiles, which have an extraordinary ability to destroy Russian tanks and Russian helicopters. And that's why you don't see any further aggression by the Russian Federation yet in Ukraine or Moldova or Georgia, the Republic of Georgia. And we need to recognize Russian aggression as it is and work there too. There's a potential for the people of that country to reclaim what has been a great culture, the culture of Russia. And so I'd like to, again, my time is up, but I'm grateful to be here, and I can't wait for people to come and visit in Washington. I'd be honored to have you come by, and I'm just humbled again to represent you. God bless you. Thank you.
Congressman Joe Wilson, it's always great to see you, but we are honored that you shared your time with us today. We have a small token of appreciation. Maybe you'll think of us when you open all of your mail. It's not really a weapon.